God bless you, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Rewind Podcast. This is episode 12 of our third season. I'm really excited to be here. Now, you may have been missing us for a little bit here because we have been a little off schedule, but I'm so glad to be able to come back and unpack the lesson sermons from Christ Universal Temple. We are unpacking the lesson that was given on May 24th. I think it was May 24th. 2026, and the title of the lesson, we're in the Science of Success series, and we are unpacking the lesson sermon, the image, the feeling, and the word from the hardcore metaphysician, the Reverend Gaylon McDowell. I'm so excited to be able to we're kind of like giving you a gist of this series. We're going to do a little series setting here because this might be the first podcast from this series, and so I want to make sure we set the ground because we're talking about success. Everybody wants to do more, have more, and be more, and maybe wondering why things aren't clicking. And so I believe that this series is one of those keys to unlock why isn't it happening for me right now. And I do believe that we're going to get a strong word on that today. We're going to unpack that lesson. So go to you at YouTube, go to at CU Temple, and you can go and watch the lesson from this. You can watch the whole series. We've been doing this the month of May for 2026, but you can go back and watch this last one because I know you're going to want to, after you hear these clips, you're going to want the whole thing in its totality. Before I bring Reverend Gaylon into the hot seat, I want to encourage you, if you're watching this live, to go ahead and share this out with people. Let them know that they need to tune into this. And you can do that even if you're not watching live, that you can actually share. Go ahead and subscribe and like. I keep forgetting sometimes to like what I'm watching especially when I'm watching live, because I'll just forget. Literally, I don't see the little thumbs up there, but I want to encourage you to give it a thumbs up. We want to push this out to as many people as we can so that people know, listen, how to unlock the secret of success, because it is what we all want more. We're designed to want more, have more, be more, to experience the fullness of our divine potential. And sometimes we just aren't taught how to do that. So here is where we are right now. So the Rewind here is part of the CUT Collective, the online ministry for Christ Universal Temple. We are here to engage with you about what's going on in the temple. And so what you can do is ask questions. That's one of the benefits of being on here live, is that you can ask questions. If you aren't able to tune in live to ask your question, know that you can join the CUT Collective Facebook group. And you can ask your question there. I pull questions from the Facebook group. And sometimes it's not just questions, but maybe a clip they want explained. That's your space to be able to do that. And so without further ado, though, let me bring Rev into the scene. What's going on, Reverend Gaylon? How are you?
I'm doing well, Reverend Sheree. How about yourself?
I'm just dandy. I really am. It's been a great day.
Well, hey, you coming, one of the things you didn't mention is you'll be the speaker at church this Sunday. So the people will have the blessing of making sure that they hear about the science of spiritual success from you. So
listen, let me tell you this. This has been a powerful series. Reverend Wells is on vacation this week, and what I want to talk to him about is kind of going back and just recording those podcasts. I know that there was some situations, some appointments came up, his schedule had some conflicts, and so we weren't able to record. But this series has been so good, so good. Give me a little bit about your take on the science of success.
Well, what I was trying to do, obviously, is piggyback on Reverend Wells' first three lessons. That was important because I didn't want to cover what he already covered. And in the midst of three sermons, that was rather extensive. So when I was looking at it from the standpoint, and I don't know if you have it on my points, what I tried to do with the sermon was, first of all, explain in the New Thought, metaphysical, spiritual setting, what does science mean? And I talked about demonstrable knowledge. And then I started to help people understand what metaphysics means and what metaphysician means and what does success mean, and the achievement of a goal or an aim, purpose, etc. To help people understand that success, to a certain extent, not to a certain extent, success is a measurable thing.
Yeah.
How many times have we counsel people and they'll say something like, I just want to be happy. Okay, what does happiness look like to you, for you? Because we have to get to the point to where we have some level of measurement on,
right.
Is this working? or if it's not working. So one of the things that I try to emphasize over and over again with people is you have to know what the end goal looks like. I'm not talking about the mysteries of spirit. I'm talking about the day-to-day, if you walk in and you want a car, okay, what type of car do you want? How, et cetera, et cetera. And either you have the car or you don't. If that's your goal, it doesn't that you're not a person, people tend to think that when they quote unquote don't accomplish a goal, that they think that that is an indictment on themselves. No, it's just a point of measure. Either you achieved it or you didn't.
Yeah.
It's no different than getting on a treadmill. Today, I might say I want to do an hour, but if that 45-minute mark, that might be all I have to give that day.
Uh-huh.
All right. Now, I still got on the treadmill, but I didn't accomplish the goal. Now, I'm not going to beat myself up. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get on the treadmill again tomorrow.
And I think that, so I love the idea of just kind of that you define what success is. And I think that that's the part that we sometimes forget. And that you define it. So you could say that I didn't succeed today because I didn't stay on the treadmill for an hour, or you've defined your goal as something else, which is that I am, I'm being active every day. I'm making sure I go to the gym and work out every day. So it's, so success to me is one of the things that I have to completely remember, that I get to choose it. I get to define what it is, especially for me. What I think is successful for you that's on you. But what I think is successful for me is for me to define, and that's where we fall short. We just don't define it for ourselves.
And let's just be clear, for people who work for other people, that does not mean you get to define your own corporate goals, because sometimes corporate goals are different than, I feel as though I did a great job. Great. But what were the goals for your particular role in the company? Those are two totally different things. And I do want to make sure that we differentiate that. You can have personal goals within corporate goals that are great. Let's just make sure that we have the distinction, which I didn't get into in the sermon, because that wasn't the point of the sermon.
Yeah, I mean, I think that because having worked in corporate, one of the things that I would have to consistently remember is that I want to be in alignment with, it's kind of like the oneness with God, not kind of like, it is oneness with God. So in my oneness, I want to be one with the vision of the place that I'm working, which is why some of us need to change jobs, right? Because if you're not in alignment with that corporate goal, one of the things that I do that, just in terms of consulting with small companies, I work on that in our ministries, is getting people to buy into the vision. Because if everybody's not on the same page, the company, the organization, the entity can't be successful either. Like, there's a way for us all to win if we all are in alignment. And that's one of the things I mention to people in their workspaces is like, are you in cooperation with the goal of the organization? Can you even articulate it? Because some of us can't articulate that, and we can't articulate our own measures, our own goals. And that's, that's an opportunity that we have for sure, as a result of listening to this series.
Well, one of the things that, if I had a part 2 to this sermon, which is obviously you're coming in behind me with a different aspect, but if I had a part 2 to this lesson, one of the things that I would mention would be the prophet Nehemiah going around every 28 days around the Jerusalem as they were building the wall. Why? Because you have to keep the vision in front of people. They have to understand the why, not just the what, because people are used to, what are we doing? What are we doing? But the why drives behavior. When you're connected to the why, you're connected to the vision. And now you're being inspired instead of just motivated.
Right.
And that's a whole other aspect of the lesson. But I already packed that lesson way too thick. And it just I couldn't get any more into the suitcase in the time frame that I had.
I love it. I love it. Thank y'all for those who are tuning in live. Thank you so much for being here today. We're talking about the image, the feeling, and the word. This is the lesson sermon from May 20. I keep saying 24th. It's one of those whatever Sunday, May 24th,
24th
2026.
was, yeah.
24th. All right, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So we're gonna my question, I guess kind of leading into the first clip, because what I tried to focus on was really the image, the feeling, and the word, because there was something so powerful behind that the science of success, and looking at this from science being that you can demonstrate it, that there is a method, a blueprint that you can work out. There's a law that undergirds success. So we've been establishing this with Reverend Wells over the course of the month. And you talked about commitment, because outside of identifying what your goal is, what your intention is, what your desire is, however you want to phrase it, after identifying it, then you have to now stick with it. And so I'm going to play this clip and we'll unpack it a little bit.
Because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I am about to spit you out of my mouth. What I'm trying to help you understand is you can't kind of want your goal. You can't get around to working on being successful. You can't make it the last thing you do when you're low on energy. Your success must become your priority. As our brother, the motivator Les Brown says, it's not over until I win. He would also say, and still says, you gotta be hungry. You must conquer the parts of you that don't give full commitment, full passion, and full concentration if you want to be successful in life. In other words, stop playing with God and yourself.
So thank you. Did I mention that this is the hardcore metaphysician? This is not going to be a gentle lesson that you get right here. Getting all in your gut there. Okay, so listen. This is what you said. You must conquer the parts of you that don't give full commitment, full passion, and full concentration. Like, we really could have stopped the whole lesson right there, because that focus, many of us don't have. We haven't trained ourselves to focus that way. And we have excuses. So tell me about this, because this is an excuse that I have, maybe used, maybe not. But this idea of divine timing, like, so you have a goal and things aren't working out and you're like, well, it just must not be God's time or divine timing. How do you think that factors in this idea of focusing and conquering the parts that aren't committed, if I feel like the timing is off?
Okay. So before I answer that question, the irony of that sermon, especially that part, is Les called me Tuesday night randomly. And I told him that I was quoting him in the sermon, and I sent it to him, and he responded back how much he enjoyed the lesson. So just randomly, I spoke him up, and he literally just called me on Tuesday to talk about a few things. So anyway,
what's Les's name? It's the I know it's the motivator, but isn't it something else that qualifies that?
Well, he used to always call himself Mrs. Maybe Brown's baby boy. That was
yeah. I mean, he's just a legend in the game. I just wanted to give props to
Les is yeah. Remind me when we go get off of this. It was something funny that he said, but I don't want to say it online. Anyway, so when we start talking about divine timing, now, is there such thing as divine order and timing? Yes, because there are seasons to things. All right, you don't just plant the seed and get the tree with the apple immediately, in the outer world. But I do think it's used as an excuse from the standpoint of divine law. If we believe and say and teach that if you have the consciousness of a thing, you will have the demonstration of a thing, or as Emma Fox wrote, I don't know if you used that clip, There's no such thing as undemonstrated understanding. Charles Fillmore says truth demonstrates itself. If we have the consciousness of a thing, then as Jesus would say, the fields are white for harvest already. Whether it takes 1 minute, 1 second, 1 year, 100 years, or 1,000 years, on the invisible side of life, it's just waiting for the channel through which it can flow through, or that can formulate it to demonstrate it. So I'm just going to go back. It's an old book from a friend of Reverend Coleman's. I don't know if you ever saw him speak. Do you remember Reverend Frank Richelieu? He was a Science of Mind minister. He used to come to CUT to preach. Very dynamic speaker. He was a Caucasian man from the East Coast. Great speaker. I don't know if the people in the comment section, they've been around CUT for a while, they would know Frank Richelieu. He had a book and the title of the book was "The Universe Always Says Yes." Now, why is that title important to me personally? Because I wish there was a divine timing when I was thinking the wrong things, feeling the wrong things, believing the wrong things, saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things. That was like, you know what? We're not going to demonstrate this for him. This is not the time for him to go through that stuff. But what I discovered was, if I do it, I have to own it in consciousness, in action, in word, in deed. So we don't get to play that game when the demonstrations don't show up the way we want them to show up. What I can say is this: the more we create ourselves to be the proper channels for the divine flow, for the grace, for spirit, whatever term you want to use, the more of it can show up. You know, I always tell people, just to use a physical analogy, because I think sometimes when we use metaphysical terminology, and I'm sure you've bumped into this, it's hard for people to go from the unknown to the known. So you have to create some type of bridge.
Right.
So I'm in, what was this, 1993 or 94. I'm on the north side of Chicago. I'm taking this Chinese internal martial arts from this grandmaster named Gaylon McDowell. Little Chinese man, maybe about 5'4", 145 pounds. So we're doing these drills, and he just touches my forearm with the back of his forearm, and he presses his own hand, and he sent me back about 5 feet. Like literally, I off my feet, had to catch my balance. And I said to him, "How did you do that?" And he says, "I just made you carry my weight." But then when I asked him what that meant, all those slow movements over and over again, day after day, movement after movement. When he moved his body moved as one unit. Now, we're talking about commitment. When your mind moves, because that's what thinking is it really moving as one unit? That's the best way I can explain it. Because if it was really moving as one unit, the power would show up, just like the power of that man who was, obviously, I'm a 6 foot tall. I don't know how much I weighed then, but I weigh more than him. And that could send me flying back 5 feet, stumble almost off my feet, because he created through repetition the ability that every muscle, every joint, every ligament, every bone, and his breath were moving at the same time. We think this 1 minute, think something else another minute, believe something else another minute, feel one way today, feel one way tomorrow, etc. And we expect to demonstrate all of this spiritual power. It doesn't work like that. We're not in alignment with ourselves.
This is so perfect for this next clip, because this one I threw in here. I say it's always a clip in there that's specifically for me, right? So this one is specifically for me, because what I think that this you can't kind of want it. Let me tell you some bad words he said. These are curse words in this clip, right? That you can't kind of want it. You got to conquer the parts of you that don't get full commitment. Like these are, it's like, okay, get out my business. But I will say that which discipline was it in?
At that time, it was a system called Xingyi Xuan, which means in Chinese, intent, form, fist, or boxing. In other words, how do you create intent in form? That was, it's the whole thing around Taoist philosophy and etc. I never finished the system, which is a regret of mine. Because CUT, JCI, UFBL people got me off of my track. I ended up on the Jesus track instead of the Kung Fu track.
Could have been a master, you went to where you wanted to demonstrate full commitment, right? So
yes.
Here's where you are demonstrating full commitment.
Yeah.
But the mastery that you have over what you do, that it does not come from wanting it real bad, right? And so this clip I'm going to play out. I hope it tie. I know it will tie together, but this clip I thought was a great reminder of, you don't just blink and you have full mastery. And you talked about while he had mastery over his technique, that really it's about we have mastery over our minds, right? Over the movement of these ideas in our minds. So I'm going to play this one and then we'll talk about it. Where am I at? Clip number 2.
If you want to be a master of life, you must become a master of ideas. In New Thought, we call this stage being a metaphysician. What is a metaphysician? One skilled in the science of being, a student and teacher of the laws of spirit. Now notice the key word is skilled. All right? When you have a skill in something, that means that you can produce consistent outcomes.
Okay. So the reason I pulled this clip is because just in the definition of metaphysician, that it hit me about the practice of it, right? That it's skilled in the science of being a student of law, of spiritual law. And that when you practice this, you can produce consistent outcomes. And I was just thinking about like using that term metaphysician. I am a Christian metaphysician. And I asked myself after I listened to that clip, is that true? Yes. Right? Am I studying to know, or am I studying to be? And I thought it was just and I would say that, yeah, absolutely. At times I feel like I have been a metaphysician, but back up to the other bad word you said, right? Am I giving my full commitment, my full passion, and my full concentration? I was just offended by this sermon, for real. Like, am I giving my full? So this is a wake up call for whatever it is that I'm thinking about what success looks for you. I'm looking at defining myself as a metaphysician, and then are you really, right? Is that you're saying that, or are you living out of that?
I just want to just add real fast. When we were taught this definition, and you were just like I was, and all the UFBO ministers, we were drilled on science of being, drilled on laws of spirit. As I was looking at that definition again, it was almost like, with the iPhones, where you can make the words big when you text somebody. The word skill just jumped off the page. Skilled. One skilled. And I started asking myself, oh my God, what is a skill? That by itself. Yeah. What is a skill? When you say someone is skilled in something, what does that mean? And that helped shape the sermon. Just that one word, skilled. I was like, okay, I've taught it before, and I've mentioned skill.
Yeah.
But it was like, no, this definition is about the skill.
Yeah.
You're making it about God. The definition is about skill. How skilled am I in demonstrating God?
And there's practicing the presence of God is one of our principles. And what is, when I teach, because while we are here and in the hot seat as the hardcore metaphysician, one would say that I'm the opposite of that. I'm super, super loving. I'm super loving with the teachers, because I believe that you gotta, like, my thing is, listen, we all saying the same thing. the Reverend Dolores McMillan would often give us a piece of candy after class because she said you need a little, that the truth can be bitter, right? So I try to bring some sweet to it because this is my approach to it. But this practicing the presence of God does not have to be like I'm all I do is sit and meditate all day. Like that's not what practicing the presence of God is. That skilled being part. Can you be God in expression? Can you be love in expression? Can you be listen, because you're designed, success is about you bringing the good desires of your heart to life, which are those God desires into expression. So if you're working at that, practicing in that, you're practicing the presence of God. The question is, when you talk about the skill, are you paying attention and enough attention to yourself to get better and better at it? Are you looking at the results? Because that's why I pulled that clip because of this. So we're talking about a science. Scientists experiment. Scientists experiment. And I had to ask myself, Sheree, have you been experimenting with your life lately? Like just trying things differently to see if your outcomes shift.
Yes.
Or do we just kind of get caught in the same old, it's like being teachable. It's like, I have to ask myself that, because when you study something enough, Rev just said that he looked at a definition that he's been looking at for 20 years and a new word popped out. Like that's, it's just questions I'm asking myself, because my desire is to live a healthy, happy, prosperous life. Like that's what I'm here for.
That's real. So when you look at the skill, so like for instance, what are you doing new in your life? So one of the things I decided was, okay, I haven't been working out the way I used to. My old kung fu teacher, where I got the black sash, he moved to the Philippines. He's living his life and doing his thing. And, and I was just recognizing, okay, when I'm not working, the sports games, which I love, basketball, football, and the Netflix and the Hulu and the Prime Video was getting a lot of my time. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to learn a brand new martial art, which I started a month ago, by the way. And not only am I going to learn a brand new martial art, I'm going to learn one. I'm going to start as a white belt, humbly, put the white belt on, and I'm going to learn a system that's right hand dominant. I'm left-handed. So what's happening now with the neural pathways are forcing me. No, I wouldn't normally move this way because I'm a left-handed. And only left-handed people understand what I mean, what it means to be southpaw. It's just different. You live in a world that's not created for you. Nothing is. Right down to writing in the English language, left to right. But what it's doing is causing me to say, okay, why do they do it this way versus that way? Now I'm getting into the science of the motion. Okay, the science of the motion. Because I'm seeing people that can pull off stuff the way they do it that I can't do. Now, when we start thinking about thinking, okay, the quality of my thinking we teach determines the quality of our lives. When I say thinking, I mean our thoughts and feelings, which I talk about in the sermon. Are you studying the motion of, okay, as I ponder these type of thoughts, as I contemplate on these type of thoughts, as I center myself in these type of feelings, as I speak these type of words, first of all, how do I feel? Am I even checked in with my own body? Like, how do I feel? Because people just do stuff and they don't even realize how they feel while they're doing it. Two, do you feel more peaceful? Do you feel more centered? Do you feel like you're achieving a level of spiritual consciousness? How? So, just as an example, what I ordered a journal specific to this new system I'm studying. I write down, this is what I learned. This is what we did. This is what I learned. These are the challenges that I had today, and any other further notes that I need to take that day. Now, people will love to say, this is what I learned. I mean, this is what we did. You listen to this sermon. This is what you heard me say. Great. What parts didn't hit? What parts challenged you? What parts made you contemplate? What parts made you reflect? Now, what did you do with that material once you heard it? Okay. If we start talking about studying something at a deeper level, because one of the things we have to be mindful of, and I know we got to get back to the clips, but you know, I'm just in this space right now. Mysticism and metaphysics were never meant to be studied the way we study it. If this would have been years ago in Africa and the Near East and China and whatever, Native American culture, Western mystics in Europe, it don't matter. You would have been a teacher with disciples, just like Jesus had people who followed him, live with him, travel with him. Why? Because this type of teaching was transmitted at a discipleship level, not at a casual level.
Right.
So the question is this: are you a disciple of the teaching? Okay. Yeah. You sat at the foot of a master, the Reverend Delarice Lett. I sat at the foot of a master, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. We had other people that we sat at the feet of masters, the Reverend Dr. Mary Tumpkin, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. Not casually, oh, that sermon was great, and you should have heard the choir. No. What does discipleship look like? This is one of the things that the fundamentalist church does get right, amongst other things. I'm not dissing the fundamentalists, but they use the term discipleship to mean a different level of commitment,
right,
to the theology, to the church, to the vision, to the leader, or whatever. In India, I love a story that I heard. I can't remember the name of the Indian yogi, and he said that a man had traveled to meet him. And when the man got there to meet him, they said, "I'm here to become your disciple." And the yogi master said to him, I knew you were coming, but you're 6 months late. They were already in tune, but the man was wrestling with the commitment of discipleship, which caused him to make the choice 6 months later than they were already spiritually attuned to be together, which I know is mystical and mysterious and all of that stuff. But when we start talking about, it's not an accident that Reverend Sheree Thompson bumped into Reverend Delarice.
Yeah. Yep. Connectors that aren't even there anymore. You know what I mean? Right. That get you there. Now so understanding that we live in a state of oneness with God, like in every aspect, and then knowing that you can lean into that. And you do have to watch people to somebody that you say you are following and that you are learning from spiritually. It is good to bear witness to their walk, because you get to see what their teaching looks like on 2 feet. You get to see how they are engaging in the challenges of their lives, the things that come up during the day. Something as simple as I remember one of my spiritual teachers, the Reverend Charles Brown, who was under Reverend Della, getting on an elevator and changing the energy of the elevator just from his walk on, right? It's like, so there is a way that you basically are sending the Spirit of the Lord before you. Like there's an energy that he insists on walking into. Being able to bear witness to that, I think, is so was so powerful for me, because it's reminding me that you have to keep cultivating you got to keep cultivating this thing in yourself. Keep reminding yourself of who you really are. So the lesson was the image, the word. No,
the image, the feeling, and the word.
The image, the feeling, and the word. So I pulled this clip about the image because I think that we're talking about masters, right? Spiritual masters. And so I want you to, if you're listening to us, to know that you are a spiritual master in training. And so if you're and you're looking to master whatever you've said yes to, right? So this isn't just about go ahead and go to church and walk around with your minister. This is becoming a student of what you said yes to, right? I'm going to experience, like if you are wanting to experience and demonstrate greater health in your body right now, can you become a student of greater health, a student of the life force, so that you can raise that idea in your mind and then have an experience of health and wholeness in your body. So this thing you said first about the image, I'm going to play this clip and then we can keep going with this. I'm disappointed in being last on the list of this lesson series because there's been so much good that has come up before me. Thanks, Reverend. Reverend Wells put me on the tail. It's like they've hit every point, but no, I got some goodies. I got some goodies. Here we go.
You're your own uniqueness.
The first thing you must have is an image and consciousness of what you want to demonstrate. Everything that is manifested was first a mental picture and was brought into expression by the forming power of the imagination. You need the mental blueprint as clear as possible in your own mind. Remember what Reverend Coleman taught us. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. Focused thinking requires consistent contemplation on your goals. Focused thinking requires unwavering commitment to the vision that you are holding.
So there's those dirty words again. Consistency, commitment.
Yes.
Because I honestly think that that's truly why, many of us aren't living the life that we desire to live, is that there's some place we aren't at a deeper level of commitment that is required. Maybe you got to go all in deeper than you were in before. Maybe you got to do something that's uncomfortable, right? Like you saying, I'm going to work on getting more active. And instead of going to what you already know, to start from zero with a new discipline, like that's a different level of commitment to your wellness and your wholeness. You know what I mean? Like that takes a certain level of willingness to do that. So this idea of holding the image, because you said hold in mind the picture of what success looks like for you, right? So beginning with that image. Now, if I'm holding an image of I'm living and I'm a billionaire, and I see myself as a billionaire getting on and off my own private jets, and I'm all my friends are now in that billionaire status. I'm holding that as an image. Is there a difference between a fantasy and then this idea of holding this of the imaging, the active imagination? Is there a difference between those two? Like, am I being
absolutely, because some people are wishing. I don't want to call it a daydream, because even daydreams can be powerful if done right. But get the gist of some of it is a wish without intent to fulfill. Let me rephrase it: without intent to become the person that can produce that experience. So what I think what you explained was people who want the demonstration without the consciousness for it. All right. So part of new thought practice is we tell people basic truth principles 1, that to develop the consciousness of the thing you desire. All right. So if I'm just thinking, okay, I'm holding this image. Okay. All right. Now I need to be in the space of holding on to what am I being guided to? Because this is one part of the lesson of a 5-lesson series. I couldn't teach all the points, but what is it that I need to do as I'm guided by spirit, to put myself in a position? So if a person wanted to be a medical doctor, they want to be a cardiologist. Okay. It's not just holding the image. It's applying for medical school. It's getting the bachelor's first, then it's applying for medical school. But while they're doing that, they're holding the image and they're holding the feeling. So when the disappointment shows up, when the setbacks show up, when the breakdowns show up, etc., when people betray you, your trust and things, the human stuff shows up. You never let the image in your mind go of who it is that you desire to be. Then do in half. But the be is the most important. So what I was trying to get across is the image is the most important thing. Now, there are going to be times when the image and the feeling are all that's necessary to produce a result. So what I'm saying is it depends, not based upon is it too big for God.
Mm-hmm.
The question is it within the realm of possibility for you, with really for real, and not just possibility, but plausibility? Because I think there's some people that's I break it down in 3 points. I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I call it possible, plausible, probable. New Thought loves to talk about possibility, but is this plausible to you? And do you believe it's probable for you? Because that changes the conversation about how we apply what we teach to things. So it's not just, as some of our critics would call it, magical thinking, but it goes back to creating the space to become the person that you're seeking to be. So, for instance, I'm holding this image while I'm now starting off as a white belt all over again. Guess what's in my head? That instructor giving me my black belt. So I'm holding to the image. And when I don't feel like doing it, I have to shift my feeling, because that's what's going to inspire me to get up, even when I'm physically not always 100%, to get up and go do it. And I'm going to speak the word of, this is what I'm here to do, consistently, over and over again. So that's the difference between, hey, I want an experience that's not consistent with my consciousness, versus being immersed in the experience. People don't like immersion, but Bruce Lee used to say, people who practice martial arts by only throwing punches and kicks in the air is like learning how to swim on dry land. Have to become immersed in the situation. If you want to learn the material, you got to pick up the book.
Yeah. And not to right, come off as, okay, so we have the hardcore metaphysician. Now let me be soft and sweet about it. But commitment comes in gradual. It can be a complete commitment, or it can be something that you grow to. And so so you know where you are. I'll give you an example, just personally, with some of the stuff that's been going on with me lately, is that with a lot of life shifts in my life going on around, I have been measuring my success by an old output of energy, right? So there was a certain amount of emotional energy, physical energy, time that I had to dedicate to my business and to my ministry. And then there are some other priorities that came up, but I was still measuring success by, what I was able to do a year ago, what I had the capacity for a year ago. So I had to adjust that, because it's like you don't get as much. I wasn't getting as much done. And what I'm learning here, because remember that you talked about the feeling, and I'm going to play a clip about our feelings, is that to not feel like you're successful and lose sight of the vision. Right? That's the part, is that the less that you are feeling successful, it is quite likely you're also losing sight of the vision, where you can't articulate the vision anymore. You can probably more articulate feeling unsuccessful.
Yes, and hopefully that came across in the space. I was trying to tell people, you can't have the image and then feel in a way that's inconsistent with what it is, that the image. And sometimes you have to adjust. I can't do martial arts the way I did when I was 20. That would be irresponsible. All right. The recovery time is not what it used to be. Now I could get that better than it currently is, but instead of focusing on, okay, well, I can't, practice for 6 hours a day, versus, okay, I'm gonna make these 2 hours really work.
That's me in the gym every day. I don't need to be here all day, but I'm gonna do a hardcore hour, boy. This hour is gonna be as wonderful as I can be.
And here's the thing, or the hour might not be as hard as it can be, but just like that one drop of water eventually will break a boulder. I'm going to keep showing up. That's why I said at the beginning of the lesson, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. I just think that's my role in New Thought, that it's a lot of wonderful teachers in our movement. My responsibility, as I understand it from Spirit, is to be in your face with the ideal. That doesn't mean that me or you or any of us are living up to the ideal, because the ideal is the Jesus Christ demonstration. But who's going to say this is the ideal? That's all.
Yeah, no, it's important to up level. Like, you got to look up. You got to have somebody that has you looking up every now and then, because we get so focused on what's going on in front of us. And the reminder that, wait a minute, there is an ideal. There is a higher way of living, being, and doing. Like, I think that's important. So the part about feelings, because we could spend definitely a season just talking about feelings, and the power of feelings and how feelings work. I'm going to play this clip because remember, talking about the image, the feeling, and the word. Here is the feeling.
You need to add feeling if you want proper results. Let's work with feeling. Feeling is external to thought. Behind every feeling or emotion there lies thought, which is its direct cause. To erase a feeling, a change of thought is required. This is why sometimes people get so caught up in their feelings, and they're like, I don't know how to change how I feel about this thing. You haven't started with the new thought yet. You can't have a new feeling about something and you're thinking the same way. Trying to make this plain as day. This is telling us that if we want a new feeling about anything, we must first think a new thought.
So I think that this is the part it took me the longest to get. And I still work with it. Because you understanding how your feelings work, that sometimes we can't identify the thought that preceded the feeling. So you can't get it. I know I got completely clued into the way that I feel in the mornings, and knowing the value that I was allowing that to put on my day. So what I mean is that I've recognized that I do best if I get physical activity first thing in the morning. That sets my day off. So one of my prayer practices is my physical activity. It's do a lot of work in it, but I never want to. I never wake up thinking, let's go to the gym. Let's get it in. Like, I can't, it's a rare day. And so the way that I felt about it used to determine what I would do. Right? Until I started thinking about what's the thought, like before that, what thought is preceding that? So there's something I had to deal with. There was a pattern of thinking I had to change in order for that feeling to be disempowered. That got me to where, and I found a way to click myself back into the right thought. And this helped me to erase a feeling. A change of thought is required. And this, so then I can go back to that thought. What thought do I need to be thinking? What do I need to be thinking in order to have a different feeling? And then be intentional, persistent, and committed to that new thought. That's why the billionaire idea of the jets and everything is that are you going to be consistent and persistent and committed to that thought, that image, and generate a feeling of its mind.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing about it is, having a level of fascination with it, what it is that you're seeking to produce. Fantasy, fascination. I don't know if they have any root words close to each other, but it's easy to be in fantasy. But when you're in fascination, it pulls your interest.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're fascinated with something, you will notice it before anybody else notices it. You're going on space and you're fascinated with certain things. I never forget, I was in what's the Disney place where all the stores and restaurants are? Can't remember the name of the place.
Downtown Disney?
Downtown Disney, but they have a different name for it now. But anyway, so we're down there and walking with my wife. And I wasn't walking. No, I was walking with Angel, my daughter, and we walked past this store, and she's just talking, and I saw Thor's hammer, not the smaller one, the big one, the Stormbreaker with the axe and the and I was like, wait a minute, Angel, they got Stormbreaker in here. I have to get a picture with this gigantic hammer. Now, she would have never saw Stormbreaker. It just wasn't on the radar. It literally stopped me because I'm a comic book fan at heart my whole life. So seeing those type of things pull my interest. What's pulling your interest?
Yeah.
Okay. What's getting your attention? What grabs you without effort? You know, when we're connected to that, it creates passion.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm talking about passion. You know, one of the most passionate fan bases in the world. I was just talking to Reverend Charles Taylor in Miami Gardens. He went on a Star Trek cruise because this year he went on a Star Trek cruise, and he explained how passionate the fans were and how people were in cosplay and the whole nine, because that they have a passionate fan base about all things Star Trek. Now, let's take a look at a person like a Reverend Ike, for instance. What was he passionate about? I think we already know. He was passionate
about prosperity.
Prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
He was fascinated with prosperity. It got his interest. Matter of fact, I probably shouldn't tell this story publicly, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. So we were having several of us were having dinner with Reverend Ike outside of Miami one day. This is like 2001, and me, Reverend Wells, Reverend Kevin Ross, and somebody else. So Reverend Ike shows up. I got a call basically like, "You want to have dinner with Reverend Ike?" Yes. Okay. So we're there. So while we're there and we're having these conversations with Reverend Ike, I asked him about it. I have three favorite lessons of Reverend Ike. One is the feeling gets the blessing. One is get your butt out the way. And the other one's, no one but me. But I was asking him specifically about the feeling gets the blessing lesson. And he went into a 15-minute sermon right at the table. I'm talking about, if anybody knew him, he was boisterous. I mean, he's loud, he's using examples, whatever. And people now at the restaurant, we're at this nice restaurant, they're all paying attention to what Reverend Ike is saying. After 15 minutes, he realized what he was doing. And he looked around and he had a bottle of wine that he was in a bucket. And he said, I had to dump this ice out of this bucket and take an offering in this restaurant right now.
Fascinated, committed to prosperity.
See the difference?
Yes.
That would have never even crossed my mind. The whole restaurant just stopped.
Yeah.
And listened to him preach at a table to a young man he had just met. But his mind was, I'm going to give this truth. But while I'm giving this truth, wait a minute. When I give truth, money shows up. That's his mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So what would it take for you and I to really understand at that level, when I present this truth, money shows up every time.
Yeah.
This is a thought.
No, but I think that's true. So, you guys know that when we talk principle, you can replace it with anything. So whatever your thing is, right?
Whatever,
What if you prosper on the other side of it, whenever you're doing what you're called to do? And I think that there's this part about the feelings. What hits me is you're essentially saying that I have to retrain some emotional habits, right? In order to have my feelings support and be in alignment with the goal and the desire. Give me I know we're coming to the bottom of the hour, but give me like one or two ways that you can retrain emotional habits.
Well, as I said in the sermon, I think you have to start initially with the image, with the thoughts that you have. So first of all, it's recognition. The first step is becoming consciously aware. Because if you're not consciously aware, it's very difficult to work this level of truth to demonstrate what you want in life. Become consciously aware. Okay. Second thing, what is it that you want to demonstrate? That's why I went back to image. Okay. What is it that you're seeking to produce? Get clear about that. Okay. Get the imagery, get the thoughts, what type of research, what do I need to read? Who do I need to listen to? What do I need to follow? What are you doing? You're creating a new paradigm, a new context for what it is that you say you want. And then you have to ask yourself, what do I need to release? What do I need to let go to be in this space? Okay. I sent a family friend who got himself into some trouble, the book, a book on forgiveness. And because some of the reasons why people get in trouble is because of the stuff they haven't let go from decades ago, and it's still showing up now.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I end up getting a call from the prison. Oh my God, I never realized without telling the person's business, what I just did is connected to something 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So what is it that I need to let go of? And then ask yourself the hardest question out of the bunch. What am I really committed to doing? What am I really committed to doing? Because it's easy to say, I can do this and I can do that. Because many people are impulsive, and impulsive in a way that shows up as all my energy is here today, it's over here tomorrow, it's in another place the next day, etc. But to be able to create the space to be able to produce what you want, I want the listeners to think of it like a pot of boiling water. You've set the conditions. You put the water in the pot, you turn on the stove, and now what is happening? The temperature is rising. And once it reaches a certain point, it's boiling. And once it gets to a certain level of boiling, now it's steam, is et cetera, et cetera. Now, you're working with your mind. Let's just say for healing. Okay, what is the image that I need to have? Okay, what do I need to be reading? What do I need to be listening to? What type of time commitment am I going to give to this? Okay, what are you doing is you're cultivating the feeling of what it is that you desire by creating the conditions for it. All right. So as you have set the conditions, and the more you stick with it, it'll create the space to where the conditions produce the experience. Now, if I wanted to drink some tea, and I put the water on the stove, and I keep taking the pot off of the fire, what ends up happening? It doesn't make a difference how expensive the pot is.
True.
It could be the clearest water, vitamin water, right out of the store from the springs of, the Himalayas. It doesn't make a difference how good it is. It doesn't make a difference how nice of a person you are. I really would want this water to boil, but you keep taking it off of the fire on the stove. What you have to do is you have to stay focused. You have to concentrate on it. You created the conditions, and now you have to allow the condition to create the experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, that makes sense. That's
Okay.
a powerful
I've never
example.
used that analogy before. I just made that up. So, but God is on demand when you know how it goes.
When you open it and you're in the flow. No, the boiling of the water and the kettle coming on and off the stove that'll preach.
I know I'm gonna have to write it down now because I'm gonna have to preach that sermon now before you do it. And you're up to bat this Sunday. Oh my God, you're gonna take my analogy and use it. I just literally created it.
Listen, if it comes up, it's because God wanted it to come up.
I'm just gonna be looking at you from my seat, like,
No, yeah, this is we could talk forever about this because it's just so rich. And I want for, if you're just listening to this and you didn't get an opportunity to tune in to Christ Universal Temple this past Sunday, May 24th, 2026, I want to encourage you to go to @CU Temple on YouTube and check it out. It's such a powerful word. And I think that if you were there, listen to it again, because I think that these conversations kind of open you up and you start to hear them differently and hear them more deeply. I want to encourage you to do that. Of course, if you are in the Chicagoland area, hey, I'll be there on Sunday. You guys will get a chance to experience Reverie in the flesh, and it'll be good. God gave me a word, so don't worry, your word won't get in there because I have been given one, and and if I do it, it's specifically to mess with you. If I open up with it, then you know I'm messing with Reverend Gaylon. But yeah, I'll be there. And listen, one of the things that, this is a shameless plug, one of the things that that I want to encourage you to do, I have to remind myself to do this, is to keep putting good things in your ear. And so these sermons, the rewinds, Reverend Gaylon has a podcast on Truth Transforming, which has been going on for 20,000 years and has 50 million episodes. Put some of this in your ear. Like, sometimes it's just to push play on the right things, because you're going to hear what you need to hear. Once you get into that mode of, I need a word. I always like to say that before, like when I open my Bible, I'll say, let there be light. Like I want a word. When I push play on something, I want a song to give me a feeling. I want to shift. Let me push play on that. So push play on one of these podcast episodes and be open to the word that comes for you, because it's available for you. I'm going to be teaching. I know I've been threatening my vision board class, but we are actually launching it for the second half of the year. What happened to your New Year intentions? What happened to the things you said yes to that you desire to be successful in? And we're going to get back to get some clarity and hit the reset on that. So go to ShereeSpeaks.com. You'll be able to find the information on how to enroll in that experience. We're going to kick it off top of January. First class is, I think the way that I set it up is that the first class is introductory. You don't have to pay for it, but it's a 5-week experience. And it's going, and it really is. I know I need it. I'm doing what I need to do too. It's like, let me just revisit my intentions. So that's the shameless plug part. Coming to CUT is the gift I'm giving you. Come on to CUT and enjoy us in the flesh.
I do want to remind the listeners that I have a webinar with Reverend Alberta Ware, part 3 of Prosperity, the Fundamentals of New Thought. We've been teaching the book Prosperity by Charles Fillmore, chapter by chapter, teaching it from the perspective of, it's so much misinformation about prosperity. Now it's almost become a bad word in religious circles because of the prosperity gospel movement. And so we're going back and teaching, okay, now there's fundamental truths to teaching this. And what we're doing is doing it chapter by chapter with a classic text. So if you haven't watched the first 2, go back, just look up Prosperity, Prosperity, Reverend Gaylon McDowell, Reverend Alberta Ware. It'll pop up. And
that's on YouTube.
That's on YouTube. Okay. And also, I'm doing a Cultivate Your Oneness webinar on June 13th with Sound Bath. Member Misha Pike is going to be doing Sound Bath, and the I call him, he's a reverend. I call him professor in this context. Joaquin Jackson. He's a minister ordained in a different denomination organization. He's going to be doing Tai Chi. So we're going to give people the total body experience. And this is the first of you hearing it in July. So be on the lookout for it. I'm bringing back the Mental Health and Metaphysics seminar. It's in person. I'm going to have the Reverend Valerie McGee, the Reverend Jacqueline Trish Atkins, and Dr. Veronica, what's her last name now? I forgot the last name, not just that fast. But anyway, I don't want to mispronounce her name. And she teaches at noondays on Mondays. But anyway, they're going to, she has a doctorate in psychology. We're going to be talking about, it's called, the subtitle is A New Thought on Eternal Life. And what we're going to be dealing with is the real mental health and spiritual needs of people as they go through the grieving process, as they go through understanding what we teach about life and eternal life, and giving people skills and tools spiritually and through the mental health profession on how to get on the other side of understanding. So be on the lookout for that in July. I just got that, them working on what that seminar is going to look like. and it's going to be dope. Now that'll be in person. Why? Because with some of those things, especially when you're dealing with mental health, we don't want to do something where somebody is having an experience and we don't even know it, triggered and we don't even know it. So we want, since we are working with a mental health professional, we want the professionals to do what they do with their thing, and we're the professionals on our lane. And coming together, it's all God for us to be able to help people get their breakthroughs. So those are some of the things coming down the pike.
That's powerful. What I've added to the chat, because I could grab it quickly, is a link to part 2 of the prosperity webinar with you and the Reverend Alberta Ware. And so you can find that on @CU Temple on YouTube. Go to @CU Temple, and I just searched prosperity and found the link. This is part 2. So you'll see that the title is prosperity, right?
Yes.
And you're able to tap into that. We'll be back next week. I think Gavin is going to put me in the hot seat next week for the rewind. And so we'll be back to conclude the series on the science of success. And I promise you that it's going to be a powerful word. I have, I'm teasing about coming in on the tail end of this, but I have the benefit of the study from the ministers that have come before me, Reverend Wells and Reverend McDowell, who've come before me and laid such an amazing, I wouldn't even say foundation. They've just built something beautiful on this series. And so I get to come and decorate the windows, and I get to come and make it pretty, make it fun, and honestly help us to walk away with understanding more about who we are and what we're destined for, that we're here to be successful. You're here to succeed. No matter how many times you failed, no matter how many times you've tried and things didn't work together, it doesn't diminish or take away from what you're really here for. And so we're going to unpack it and have a good time. What's the name of my sermon? It's called Raise the Roof.
All right. So now we're going to get to work.
Yes. So we'll be back. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Please share this podcast with other people. Let them know what we're doing here at Christ Universal Temple. These go live mostly every week. And so you can have that in store. And again, if you see me on Sunday, come and give me a hug. Tell me you heard the podcast so that I can celebrate that with you. I always do selfies with our people. Like, you're listening. Yay. We love it. We love it. But yeah, we'll be back next week. Have a beautiful, love-filled, and joy-filled day. God bless you real good.
Amen. God bless.